When you say nation, you talk about land. Our land is Africa. That's undeniable. This land is not our land.
That what Frantz Fanon's theory, psychological theory, is that we're in a post-colonial psychology. And what he calls that is an auto-destructional stage, which is the oppressor will oppress for so long that the oppressed no longer have to be physically oppressed. They do it to themselves automatically.
I'm black. Do you hear me, man? Do you understand? I am black. I'm a nigga. Do you understand me? I was born black, I live black, and I'm gonna die probably because I'm black. Because some cracker that knows I'm black better than you, nigga, is probably gonna put a bullet in the back of my head.
Hey man, it's like this, man. It's like, you know, it's like it's revolution time, man. There's no questions asked. Revolution is here. You know what I'm saying? We the youth, we the young. It's time for us to break loose, you know? We don't have no freedom, no rights, man. We slaves right now. Everybody's still a slave. That's what they told us today. In other words, you still a slave. No matter how much money you got, you still ain't shit. So, you know, it's on, just like that. Just like
are really ready and willing to pay the price that is necessary for freedom. Our people will always be walking around here second-class citizens, or what you call 20th century slaves.
What price are you talking about, sir?
The price of freedom is death.
What's the figure?
I mean, what are you in this for? You want power, you want revenge, you know? What is it?
It's simple, Willie. I just want to be free.
So now, they had a problem they had to face, because everybody in the world of peoples of color, and even many of the white people in Europe, the Jews and so forth, having inherited that knowledge from the Iberians who was there, celebrated the winter solstice. The time when the earth tilts back towards the sun, and we're moving back towards summertime now. And it was on December the 25th, around December the 22nd, and went on through some places December the 25th. And it was the birthday of Horus, or Haru, from which we get the word hero, the son of Osset and Asar, whom they misnomed Isis and Osiris, the birthday of Tammuz, the birthday of Mithra, just about any savior god around the world was born on this day. So they said, these people are not going to let this go, so we're going to have a birthday for ours. They came up with the 6th of January, the 16th of April, several days in August, some days in September, and they finally decided on December the 25th. When did they decide it? 325 years after the fact. When everybody that knew Jesus was gone away from here. Anybody who had may have had some birth records, didn't have any more. And how did they get people to accept it? Not through Septimus Dominus Meum. Holy God, Holy Jesus, Mary Mother of God. By the power of the sword. Constantine the Great at the Council of Nicaea in 325. Most everything you believe about Christianity was decided then and there. It was the cross and the sword. They didn't do it by praying. Because the African bishop said, this is not true what you say. Jesus is not one with God. He was a great prophet. They said, you either accept it or we run your behind out of here. So they ran him out. And they established it by the sword there. I think I've dealt with that. I'm not going to deal with Santa Claus now tonight.
Hey, peace. Uhuru family. I think we're gonna deal with Santa Claus tonight though, but we'll see. Or afternoon. Welcome to We Charge Colonialism podcast, man. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day, man. I was dreaming of a white Christmas. I didn't get my white Christmas, but it's all good. It's all good, man. Hey, I got my brother with me, Jeru, the assist. Looking forward. Can you hear me loud and clear? Feel like my
No, I can hear you loud and clear.
Mike
I was getting myself situated.
No doubt, man. Nah, it's all good. Just making sure I'm good for the folks that's tapping in, and appreciate everybody too tapping in. I know this is a holiday, so people are probably with family doing what they do. But I thought that I would come on and discuss this day called Christmas. And I don't know if I want to get, into a point, at least for myself, because I don't know which you might go off, but I definitely don't plan to use this as an opportunity to just like come at Christianity or the birth of Christ. I think many of us probably know the contradictions with that anyway. And in that video, that was the great Ishaka Musa Barashingle, who's from Philly, man. The Philly Bulls is in the building today. And may he rest in power. But he was definitely bringing out that contradiction in the celebration, Africans participating in the celebration of Christmas. And, really, I mean, if you look at the history, is interesting. Maybe in this conversation, we'll talk about slavery and how the slave master and the slave, that was the one day in the year where both the slave master and the slave came together and participated in a holiday. And so that's something that need to be deepened as well. But before we get into it, man, this is We Charge Colonialism. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure that you share this podcast. And if this is your first time with us, subscribe to the channel. This is what we do. We're Pan-Afrikan think tank. I do come with the theoretical framework of African internationalism as laid down by the chairman Omali Yeshitela, my chairman of the Uhuru movement. So shout out to the Uhuru movement and the great victory we just had in court. They tried to take us under, tried to say we was conspiring with foreign agents against the American government. I mean, that shouldn't we have the freedom? If we feel like, we're not being represented, if we're not getting our just due, shouldn't we be able to conspire anyway to make sure that we get these things? If we don't have no trust in the government, but that's a whole nother conversation. Today, what you think about today, man? You did your Christmas shopping?
So I'm incognito today because I got a little sty on my eye. So even if I wanted to go outside, I'm not going outside.
Okay, I thought it's
on the final stage.
It's about to ride looking for Santa Claus. I thought you was going.
No. But listen, the brother did say if he come through the hood, we supposed to get him. You know what I mean? But yo, bro, I'm like you. I understand, like a brother would say to me, a brother Muti would be like, you got to heighten the contradiction about things. So it's like my thing is never to attack my people because of what they don't know, what they misinformed. They're misinformed. It's never going to be that, and I know religion, politics, and the funny thing is these holidays got a way to be religious and political. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not going to never, like you were saying from the door, like I just want to heighten the contradiction. I just want us to view certain things. I want us to have our own perspective on things and not something that our oppressor gave us. So like attacking our folks, I ain't never doing that. So I'm right with what you said to start. This is not an attack on Christianity. This is not an attack on people wanting to get together as a family. My daughter is hella conscious, bro. I walk in the house, there's a tree up. She got on, Christmas pajamas and you know what I mean? So it's like we have those conversations, but I understand it's not a time for us to be able to just attack our people. You know what I mean? But I do want to always be able to heighten the contradiction and infuse facts into the argument at all times, into the debate and the conversation at all times. And then we could do with that what we will. So I ain't do no Christmas shopping. I ain't see Santa come through. Cause he don't never come through here. So bro.
Hey,
Go ahead, bro. My bad. But that's all I really wanted to say, man. Like, this is never going to be attacked. I talk with a lot of energy, a lot of passion and all that, but it's always for the love of Africans. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, whatever love is, we gonna have to have a conversation on that at one time, at some time,
Most definitely.
So,
that's having the topics. You be having the topics because you're the one who inspired this conversation right here, which I appreciate, because I was in chill mode. Semester ended for me. I was like, I'm not traveling to New York all week. I'm going to be in the crib. brain on shutdown mode. But I'm glad that we got together to have this discussion because definitely. It is a discussion to be had, man. And you know, one of the things we was talking about in our conversation was the psychological impact that Christmas have on the youth. And before we jump into that dialogue, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to if you wanted to react to the video, because Dr. Barashingle, you know, what he was getting into is sort of the origins, like understanding where, you know, this Christmas holiday came from. And you know, there's research that says, because I don't want to say that it is definitive, right? But there's definitely been some research, and people will put one or two together. And there was a pagan, the sun god, Invictus or something like Invictus. Excuse my Latin, but that was the sun god, the Roman sun god, that was being worshipped and celebrated on December 25th. They would have festivals and so forth. But Constantine, who was the sun worshiper, who would in the fourth century convert to Christianity, would sort of combine the two, the birth of Christ with the day of December 25th. Even though, but the birth of Christ isn't on December 25th, but because the people were already accustomed to celebrating, you know, on that day. Okay, like let's connect the two. So you know, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, and please somebody that's watching correct me, but I think I also understand that date is around like the winter solstice or something like that. Like December 25th fits into that, and a lot of indigenous cultures all around the world celebrated around that time frame. So like that's another thing that you got to add into this. And Dr. Barashingo, you know, like you said, Rest in Power, I read both of the books. I think it's 3 of them actually, where he talks about, you know, he breaks down all the myths of all the holidays, gives you the real, you know, the whole Saint Nick thing is, they really talking about a pedophile that used to run around in Europe, and they, you know, the naughty and nice thing was that part of it, the naughty part. Like this guy is running around grabbing, and then we just made it into more than what it was. So, you know, again, shout out to that brother. I read both of his books. I believe it's 3 of them, but I know for sure he has 2 of those books, you know, and I always remember his name because, you know, Barashingo, it stands out. It's one of them Jones I remember. And the book wasn't like a real thick read, neither one of them, but the history was pro. The thing I didn't know is the brother was from, I probably knew, and then you just reiterated it, reminded me that he was from Philly. And that's a topic before we get off, but I definitely want to get into that too. The history of Philly as it pertains to Black folk. We need to reignite what Black Philadelphians know about our story, history in this city. You know, so I just want to, that's another one of those Jones. When we get a chance to touch on it, bro, we going to go in, because I think that's a part of all of this as well. You know, like not understanding that revolutionary, that militant, that intellectual, that communal part of Philadelphia with its history. But Dr. Barashingo, bro, he breaks it down, and it's like you can really get into these things and just want to believe it because you've been watching American TV your whole life. You've been going to American school, public schools your whole life. Somebody told me they was being taught about the birth of Christ and Christmas in Catholic school at the same time. And if you didn't abide by what they were telling you, they will discipline you or kick you out. So it's like, it's, you know, you have parents, and this is the psychological part. And I definitely want to get into that. You have parents who think that they're not being good parents because they can't adhere to Christmas. And really the capitalism of Christmas. They're not adhering to the birth of Christ part. They're not even adhering to the old Saint Nick part. They're adhering and tying their parenting into the capitalism part. If I cannot break the bank, put us in an eviction by summer behind Christmas, I'm not being a good parent. You know, and that's, and then you even have children who assign that to their parents. Like they're putting those pressures on their parents, like, you're not a good parent if you don't get me this, and that. To the point where young people are even saying that to their parents. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't no good parent. You couldn't get me no Christmas gifts. So it's like, bro, the psychological part of it for our children is so damaging because not only the identity thing, and you know it, the whole associating white folks with being God and being holier than thou and being the saviors and all of that. That's a dangerous part of Christmas. That's very real. But then the other part, like how you could just view your parents and question them, and other people will rock with you. Even if they don't agree with the child, the way that these other parents are moving agrees with the child. Because this parent is willing to break the bank and damn near, not be able to pay bills that are important to actually taking care of your child. Because you're not willing to do that, your children are looking at you like, well, so-and-so parents got them this, that, and the third, and we all live on the same block. We're no poorer or richer than them. And it's like, that shouldn't even be a conversation with a child and a parent, bro. And it creates, you know what I mean? So
how do we get to this point? It's like, how do we get to this point? And I think that's why it's so important to understand the context and understanding. And the chairman in that same video, I'm gonna show some clips as we having this discussion, because you already connecting on some of the videos I want to show. But the importance of understand how colonialism, has an effect. And it's sort of like that's the you can look at as like the origin of African people even participating in this particular in Christmas, right? Because the Africans who were coming on those slave ships weren't practicing or celebrating Christmas, right? That was the first celebration of Christmas in North America actually came in the 1500s. It was the Spanish. The Spanish began the celebration of Christmas in North America. And then it picked up in England, and even within the English colonies, everybody didn't celebrate Christmas among the Europeans. As a matter of fact, the Puritans were completely against it. And it's not until, I believe, like the 1800s that Christmas even becomes, a celebrated or recognized holiday in the South, where 3 states, I believe it's 3 states in the 1830s that are actually going to recognize Christmas as a state holiday. But it was the use of Christmas, right? Like it was this paternalism that existed during Christmas time, where the slave master would provide, gifts to the enslaved, and they would, give them, they would give them money to go have a good time, for a day. And in some places they would have a few days off, and some places they would have a week or 2 weeks off, right? It was like that time of the year that the slave master would look out for the enslaved. So we going back to slavery. This is development. So for the slave, that was a time of year that that they can feel like they have, at least like the burden of slavery was kind of just like for that time they can forget it. They can drink, get drunk, party, and integrate with the slave master and enjoy the same things that the slave master enjoyed as far as the celebration of Christmas, right? And so that helps with sort of like that consciousness. Real quick, I know you're about to go in, but the last thing I would say is like you can't. Dr. Emerson Wilson talked about. You can't share the same values as your enemy and expect to, or the oppressor, and expect to overturn your oppression, to solve the problems of oppression and exploitation. And when it comes to some of these holidays that we engage in, some of the practice that we have and the things that we value, those are the same things that are oppressive value, and there's a reason for that. So we have to be very conscious of that. But go ahead, that's all you wanted to say.
No. I'm always going. When you talk, it's like sparking certain things that I already remember, things that I've already read, and it's like the whole thing of finessing you into your new slavery. It's like the advent of the weekend, because that same concept happened on Sunday. On the plantation. Hold on, damn.
Church Day. You talking about? while Sunday everybody going to church, having a day off.
And really, what that was for our people, and I like for us to continue to understand that, because they never got away from that pattern. You can't keep captivity clear to the people you're keeping captive. So the chains and the whips and all the brutality, if you want to maintain this oppression over these people, you have to make a transition. You have to make the transition into them believing the oppression that they come from is a place that they want to be. It's a place that they can live at some point if they just work harder, if they give the slave master time to change his ways. But really, with these holidays and the advent of the weekend and the fake celebration with the master, it was just this thing to give you a little taste to make you think that you could go from being this slave to a part of our society. But it was never meant to actually happen. It was only there so you wouldn't fight back so much. Because chains make you fight because they're clear and present. A whip makes you fight after a certain amount of time because it's clear and present. At a certain point, you just want to fight against brutality. So we had to find a way to get it into your psyche that you weren't being brutalized. You were just somebody that wasn't ready to be in this society, and we are training you up and letting you in slowly but surely. Right, bro. And that they don't stop it. Like, that was just one aspect of it. And that's why I had to make sure I brought up the advent of the weekend. Because you see what we do on the weekend as Black folk still try to escape from what we know really is. You know, we living for the weekend. You know, Friday night, I just got paid. You know, that's more contemporary, but that's the same idea, bro. It never stopped. Like, when you talk about, and those holiday things, it just got worse. It just got worse, you know, to the point where the slave master was able to convince us that we weren't being good citizens. We weren't being good stalwarts. We weren't being good patriots if we didn't believe in these holidays. If we didn't, you know, go through with these holidays. And and again, I'll bring it up a little bit from slavery, where I think it like ratcheted up even crazier. It's like around the 30s, the 40s, when the whole mass, like not mass media, but advertisement became the thing of capitalism. How do we advertise stuff? And it just ratcheted up real crazy around the 30s and 40s when advertisement became
Eddie
the new slavery.
Man. They consider him like the father of propaganda. And we're gonna get more into that, man. I'm gonna give you some more juice right here with another clip. Let's check this out.
We started out by celebrating the harvest on our own land when we created the science of agriculture, the success of the hunt, the rituals and celebrations of the rites of passage. All these things are good reasons for celebration. For us, we have a lot to celebrate in that we were able to survive this beast all this time in this hostile environment and still come out with some degree of sanity. I said some degree because, as Dr. Ben says, we are all crazy to some extent, having been here and survived under these conditions. Well, we're still able to function. And also, we celebrated so often victory over an enemy. But never in the history of the world have I ever heard of a people celebrating the victory of their enemies over them. Do you get my point here? They may remember that, but they will not celebrate it. The only people I know now presently in the world is the Negro and other people who are mentally subjugated by white supremacist culture around the world that celebrate their enemies' defeat of them. So when we study European holidays, we have to ask, whose victory are we celebrating? Kris Kringle means the birth of the Christ child. Now this I got to ask you. Now wait, man, so let's be logical. Let's put aside belief and all that. Let's be logical in our thinking. How can a little short, dumpy, fat, red and white suit and wearing puffy-faced white man be a representative of or one and the same of the Christ child born over in a hot land in Palestine, a black boy in a manger in a stable, who eventually was assassinated for rebelling against the Roman government. Where's the connection?
Hey. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I was over here scrambling, man. My computer was about to die. I was like, yo, this is about to be crazy.
Oh no, I'm doing like going in and out. But yo, man, I really appreciate when you put the clip up. Cause usually when you like talking to folks, you don't have any, like as y'all having a conversation, you don't have, in real time, you don't have nothing to go off. Like, it's just my word against yours. And we know we both read and if stuff sound alike, it's like, all right, he might know what he's talking about. But yo, I appreciate that, man, because folks was doing this before us. Folks that know we ain't making it up. This ain't just for TV. This just ain't just for me and this brother that had nothing to talk about. Like, these things have a long history of indoctrinating our people to go against themselves. And this is, I love the fact that he brings that part up. Like, you're celebrating your enemy. Anybody that will put you through what we've been through is your enemy. That's number one. Let's keep that classified as it is. Nobody who is a friend of you would treat you how you've been treated on American soil over 500 years. It's clear. It's there. All the evidence is in. All the facts are in. So now what we're doing, we're breaking down myths. We're breaking orientations. We making folks look at what we're actually dealing with. And talking about Christmas is just one way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing, man. Like him saying, who celebrates their enemy? Who celebrates with their enemy? You know what I mean? So it's like, exactly, so it's one of those things, man, where it's like, I told you when we was talking, I remember being 13 and Christmas was evoking a feeling in me. Like, why are we not celebrating Christmas? Like, my mom didn't do the tree, none of that. I'm 13. She like, well, if you want to do it, you got to do it yourself. I did it. I went and got the shit, put the stuff up, right? And then it was like, after that time, it always bothered me, even from 13, because I was like, I did it more for a family thing. Not so much for these decorations, but I wound up only putting the decorations and it was no family thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody was in it no more. And then I remember when I got to prison and I start reading, and when I remember when I didn't have the feeling of Christmas no more, that time. So what I started understanding is like, these people have went so far that they're able to manufacture feelings out of us.
Yeah.
They've been able to control. Go ahead, bro. My bad.
Nah, I'm just thinking, I want you to pick back up on that thought, but I'm thinking about the time when I didn't have that feeling anymore during Christmas time. And even in our conversation though, we talked about, how subconsciously though, still like Christmas growing up, celebrating Christmas, how it still had this time of the year, it still has an impact on me. Think about songs, think about shows that I used to watch, and it's like nostalgic, being with family, having, just feeling good, waiting that whole time. Remember just like not being able to sleep, like that time, days going up to counting the days off, going up to Christmas. But, like I can't remember the exact like transition from me just like not even worried about what I'm getting for Christmas. There was something in me that knew that my family didn't have the resources. Like I was still a teenager. Like I didn't want them to spend money on me during Christmas time. Like it was like when they would ask me what I wanted, I'd be like, I'm cool. I don't want anything. I was still like an adolescent. I'm still like in high school. I wanted them to take whatever money they had, spend that on my little sisters. Like, get them whatever they want. That was my attitude. And I can't remember like why or when that happened, but I saw Malcolm X though when I was like 13, 14. And I'm trying to think like maybe younger than like around that age. Malcolm, X came, 92 or 93, something like that. So I seen it in the theaters. So I'm that seed was planted. When I seen that X film, that seed was planted. I didn't become all militant yet, but the seed was planted. Later on, I would read the autobiography. But I'm thinking, like, you know, that movie might have had an impact on me too, in regards to like how I see American society, white folks, and so forth. Yeah,
I agree with you, bro. Because at that time, you know, me and you close in age. At that time, I was getting a lot of influence that is hurtful that our young folks don't get it now. Hip hop is something else now. But listening to X Clan back then, and when you listen to, they would drop shit about holidays, and you know, I was listening to Q before he became Hollywood Q, when he was Revolutionary Q. You know what I mean? I was listening to Poor Righteous Teachers.
Poor Righteous Teachers.
Listening to Tribe Called Quest, YZ. I was listening to all these people who were giving a level of conscious thought in the music. And like you with the movie, I definitely took a lot from that movie. And then once I got to read the book, it was like, oh, all right, this is what it is. The movie was dope, but this is what it is. You know what I mean? So I'm like you. I was able to get some cues that I didn't know I was actually getting until now. But when you say that about the movie, I got to remember how I was with the music. And I got a lot of African thought out of the music in the 90s. Nas was on it. You know what I'm saying? Some of the people we thought was like super like on thug shit, street shit, was talking conscious shit, like a Mobb Deep. You know what I'm saying? When they talk about hell on earth, is a war going on outside. They weren't just talking about us going against each other. They was talking about the system going against us too. That's why it's a war. So,
and
bro,
trying to survive in the environment. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Just, So
it's I definitely got those cues where it was like, all right, Christmas is not really a thing. But then, like you later on, really being politicized with the books and having conversations, it wasn't hard for me to just be like, I'm done with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with this. And I'm glad you brought that point up, because I don't want to make it seem like one day I just didn't like Christmas for no reason. You know what I mean? I just didn't care about Christmas for no reason. The 13-year-old thing happened, and I still was cool with the whole idea of Christmas, although I was starting to get new information. But once I started reading and things started really getting exposed to me, it was like one of those things where I wanted to cleanse myself. So I don't want people to think like one day I just stopped caring about Christmas. Nah, it's a lot of brothers and sisters who put a lot of great information out that somehow I was able to get connected to it, that formed my new opinion, which was the correct opinion, which was the correct fact. So I definitely want to put that out there, because it's the same way of how we got to this point is how we get out of it. You got to educate yourself. You know what I mean? So, yeah, bro, I was going to say, Tom, and it was external things that helped get me to that point, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to continue to deepen this, man. But I'm going to pull this up just for folks to just get an idea of like what we was listening to. You know, people probably different ages. If you're younger than us, then you probably don't even, know unless you did back into these lyrics, man. But this Brand Nubian right here. This is
Brand Nubian, another, I was listening to them.
Look, he said, peace to the God, peace out loud. Like, we ain't know nothing about no Nation of Gods and Earth's 5%. They dropping this knowledge on us, and we know we singing the lyrics.
Itself. You know what I mean?
Knowledge yourself.
I gotta read it real quick. Let me read it real quick. So he said, peace to the gods, peace to Ali. Hey, yo, there go that brother, Grand Pooba. I heard that brother got knowledge of self. Yo, true indeed, brother. Yo, let's have that brother come. Yo, bro, I don't even gotta go on, but it was just looking at that first part. He said brother 4 times.
And they talking right now. They ain't even getting it. They say, yo, let's have this brother come over and add on to the cipher. Sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Folks get down in the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. My life, my life, my life. Hey, yo, knowledge this, the attribute, Haji, helper to another God. I need he, Allah, God, Islam, as I proceed to civilize the uncivilized, words of wisdoms, the groove from the wise. Speak on it, God. I guess I'm the verbalizer for the fact I'm moving backwards. This Asiatic black man is a dog spelled backwards. What? The maker, the owner. Look, this is lessons right here. He said the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth. Father of civilization, God of the universe, manifesting thought with my infinite styles, making sure this travel 23 million miles. The other 6, I set the crucifix because the heart of the problem is this. Speak on it, God, and he gonna speak on it more. That's what we was listening to, bro. I don't know what folks listen to.
And this is the thing, bro. This is the thing. I don't wanna old school, new school nobody. But what I will say is, it's the reason why they made the music monolithic and we didn't dig it. Because in the 90s, bro, we got all of it. We got the super ignorant shit and we got the high level intelligence in the music, bro. And they seen it and they was like, you can't allow these folks to be balanced like that. You can't allow them to have other things to think about. You know what I mean? And they only want us thinking about one thing. So again, it goes back to that Christmas idea. They drove that into us. School, music. It's a time of year where you only can hear that music. You only can see those movies. School talks about it all year. And the commercials build up with the children. Because the children are a good way to get us to do these things. Put those commercials on the same way they did with Saturday cartoons. Every joint come on, you want it. You in the house, every commercial come on, mom. And now that I'm a parent, bro, I understand that self-esteem that comes from your children loving you, bro, or not. When you can't do for your children, that's a self-esteem play. And when your children not knowingly learn that through shit like Christmas, they'll put that pressure on you unknowingly, thinking they supposed to get something for Christmas. So putting this pressure on mom is normal. But I don't feel like a mom if I can't get it because I don't know no better. You know what I mean? Like that's a wild thing. And I know it now that I'm a parent, what that feels like when your children they want, and you feel like I gotta give it for my child. Like you ain't even looking at the logic and reasoning of it. I just want that appreciation from my baby, even if it's not real. And if you notice, we see that in our everyday lives. We want appreciation from shit, even if it ain't real. And that's another thing that comes from that, bro.
Yeah, that's a good transition, man, to another clip. Let's go. I got it all lined up today. Let's go.
Shows the insanity that we have come into since we've been captivated here. You work hard to get money, and you got to do it. You're compelled to do it. It's a sin against God if you don't do it. You offend the baby Jesus if you don't do it. Get this money. I got to get this white man this money. And he put you in a state of panic and hysteria. There's only 20 days left to Christmas. Only 15 days left to Christmas. Oh, I got to get this money. Oh. And he come at you through your babies. Because you know, black folks don't like to deny their babies nothing. It's hard to say no to your babies. And they lacking so much in the world today anyway, so you figure, at least I can give them this little bit of something. I know what you're thinking now. Let me ask you something new. How in the name of heaven do you do all this? You got to work hard and 2, 3 extra jobs and wrapping packages and maces and stuff. Spending money you ain't got. Wait till the babies go to sleep at night. And here you go with your fool self. Tip around. You done hid somewhere. They wake up the next morning, their eyes all bright and looking at stuff around the tree. Come here, baby, look what Santa Claus done for you. Now, you can do what you want. Ain't no way in the world I'm gonna work my butt off. Buy something for my children and tell them some white man did it.
Bruh. Yo, favorite. That's my favorite clip right there, bro. Gotta get this money.
Gotta get this money and get it right back. And give it right back to the white man. And the biggest thing about that part is this is how tricked up they got us. They've had us. The cat that you know is oppressing you, right? He make you get the money, give it back to him, and then you tell your kids he did the shit for you. You don't get nothing out of it. You left completely empty. And then by the summertime, you being evicted because you spent 3-4 months of rent money on that shit. And the white man the one kicking you out the house. You feel me, bro? It's like it's another part to that too. That's the other part. How many people put themselves in financial ruin that they couldn't recover from because of this imaginary thing? Again, how did these people create something that can invoke feelings? It's not even a real feeling. It's not real, but you have it. And it's not something else I want to say. And again, we ain't going to go too deep in religion, but I'm always cool with that. The whole thing of the baby Jesus, right? The story that you're telling that's not actually real, even the actual story you telling is not real. Because when they talk about the birth of Christ and all that, they talking about the son, bro. It's all in the pictures of Kemet and Kush. They talking about the son. When you talk about the resurrection, they talking about the son. The immaculate, they talking about the son, bro. Our people were teaching our people about the sun and the power of it and how important it is to our survival. It was paying homage to nature because everything is interconnected. Nothing is outside of the system. So for you,
I'm gonna find the author, but this is John, the astrological Christ myth. Read that back in the day. There's a part 1 and a part 2. That's a book to check out, but it gets into that. But go ahead, I mean, cut your wisdom short.
But no, I see somebody. I can't really see it because I need glasses, but I see it look like they're agreeing.
They said the sun moves south. This is Andrew. The sun moves south and seems to stand still for 3 days. Then after the 25th, it begins to move back north, which is why they say the sun is born on the 25th. And,
here we go.
That's the knowledge that
and that's my thing. The story that you believe in ain't even the real stuff. Like all the stories are fake. And I need my folks, because you're not going to lose your spirit. You're not going to lose your soul because you don't believe in European Christianity. A lot of our people believe they are disconnecting from God because of that. You weren't a Christian before you came here. You said that earlier about Christmas. Nobody was celebrating that shit. Nobody when we came on the shores. Nobody was doing it when we came on these shores. But to take it even deeper, we weren't even Christians. The slave master gave you that as a way to control you. That's why he let you go to his churches. And he put the preachers in front of you that he wanted to. Preachers who couldn't read. They were parroting with the European, and they only couldn't read as it pertains to English. They were highly intelligent.
And I want to say, like, because I know, we have a history of practicing Christianity on the continent. And, we go to Ethiopia, parts of Kemet. But we were not Catholics. We were not Protestants. We weren't Puritans. We weren't Calvinists. So we, just to be clear, like we wasn't practicing none of that.
And they definitely weren't. These people definitely weren't Coptic. They weren't. They weren't. They weren't Ethiopian Christians. That's on the eastern side of the. Most of the folks that came. Most of the folks that came was Muslim. And that's a whole nother conversation. And anybody that can go into the history and be like, nah, Jeru, the percentages are different now. We found out that, but we weren't celebrating, we weren't practicing European Christianity when we came on these shores. That was something that was given to you to help oppress you. They were basically telling you, you are here because my God is stronger than yours. That's what the European was telling you. That's why he gave you his religion. They done that wherever they've been with the sword. My God is stronger than yours. That's why I'm able to do this to you. I'm not saying that's real,
Yeah.
But that's what they did as a war strategy. Not religious converting. They did this as a war strategy. That's the other part we got to understand. These people weren't even trying to convert you religiously. They forced you to their religion as an act of war. So it's
because the conscience, you know, it's always, and you talked about politics earlier, all of this is in the political interests of the colonizer. Because remember, when they came out with those papal bulls in the 15th, I'm talking about remember, but y'all get what I'm saying. Like in the 15th century, the Pope issues papal bulls that says that these Christians can perpetuate non-Christians to perpetual slavery. So now that was it, and that goes to the even the knowledge. When you start looking at that, you're like, okay, so they weren't enslaving Christians and bringing them over here because that went against their own teachings, right? So they were able to do that to non-Christians. They were able to take non-Christian land, the doctrine of discovery, you know, non-Christian lands that's not occupied by a Christian nation could be claimed by a Christian nation. So you know, that's the 15th century. That's setting the tone for what they're going to do in the 1500s when they come to the Americas, right? Early 1500s. But yeah, it's political. So now, boom, we can do this to them because they're not Christian. But now later on, yeah, we can convert them to Christianity. But then that whole doctrine of not enslaving Christians, that gets interpreted different through the Bible, where it says, you know, the whole Lord obey slave, obey your Lord, you know, your master. They start using the doctrine in the Bible to even justify the enslavement of African people. So it's all political at the end of the day, man. Oh, and Malik Jabbar, just threw out that book earlier, The Astrological Christ Myth. And there's a part 1 and a part 2 with the author is Malik Jabbar. I thought it was a good read, but it gets into what Andrew was talking about in the chat as well. You know, that connection to the sun with and that's what the Romans, they were sun worshipers at the end of the day. You know, they believed in the sun god. But you know, not to say, and it, I don't know what those Romans were doing. Like Africans, like we had a different connection to the universe. You know, it was more so different manifestations of the universe. Well, it was the sun, the water, the wind, and so forth. But I don't want to digress.
Yeah, no, but that's an important point to how religion and holidays are wielded even to this day. A lot of it is mysticism and ignorance from Europeans, and them learning small or them taking things that they've gotten from us that they don't understand, and that's what Isis worship, sun worship, all things that we understood and we were doing, but they couldn't understand it, and it comes out how it comes out. You know what I mean? And then they put a lot of their scarcity mindset, their fear mindset, they put all of that into it, and then you get what you get. Fire and brimstone. Everything about Christianity at the beginning that I learned was all scare you into it. You know what I'm saying? And you got to think about the mindset of the person who would create a religion like that. First of all, God became a man because of the environment that white folks came from. Because before that, God was a woman in most places. But if you come from that terrain, the man is the toughest motherfucker moving in the mountains. Everybody else is, because it's brute. So why would God be anything but a man to them? You know what I mean? And that's something where we got to start, where these conversations really got to start. Like, look what you're bringing into your African self and why it's not working for you on no level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, because this is somebody that's giving you a bunch of spooky, mystical stuff to believe in, the Easter Bunny and elves and all of this weird stuff that comes from his mindset.
Yeah.
And he's giving us this shit and using it to promote certain ideas, and we rocking with it. You know, so it's like that be my thing with when
we started out by celebrating the harvest and on our own.
My fault, bro.
No, you good. But no, I just be wanting, you know, all the time, bro, when we get an opportunity, when our people get an opportunity, Like, keep digging. I know people be saying rabbit hole, and nah. I need some of our people to get in a rabbit hole because they ain't dealing with nothing right now. So I need y'all to get into these rabbit holes. Go read about the 15th century. Go read about 1940 advertisement. Go read about the 1800s. Go read about Roman and where the Romans and the Greeks got their information from, stolen legacy. It's fragmented teachings. That's why they shit seems so crazy. But we don't know that, so we follow it thinking it's something like we're doing now. So it's like, bro, it really get into, I need y'all to use this as a reason to go research some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's about, bro. Like,
you know what I mean?
This conversation that we have, and hopefully, spark. But I know, like, folks that's tapping in, they already at that level of consciousness, right? And not to say that we all know everything, but hopefully, just like motivate us to have these conversations, right? And how to package these conversations when we're talking to our family, our friends, because I think it's important. We do have alternatives as well. Kwanzaa, the first day, Umoja is tomorrow, the first day of Kwanzaa. We're gonna go through Umoja, Kujichakulia, Ujima, Ujamaa, we got Kumba, is that Nia might be next, Kumba, and then Imani, right? The 7 days of Kwanzaa that we could be, which is rooted in African traditions, not necessarily a specific African tradition, but just like taking the values, the principles, and the harvest festival. Exactly, because Kwanzaa is translated to mean first fruits, right? So using that as an alternative and say, we can still do some. But we was just having this conversation on Black Power Media. For me though, that even the practice of that, it can't just be like this cultural practice without attaching that the politics to it, revolutionary politics to it. You know what I'm saying? Because, all right, we understand that we are African people. Now what? It doesn't change the political, power dynamic, between our oppressors, right? And between the oppressor and the oppressor. That's not going to change just knowing who you are. There has to be some action behind that, some organizing behind that. Taking those principles beyond Kwanzaa and like, how do we, apply this and make this actually a part of our culture? How does it become a habit? Because that's how you create culture. It has to become a habit. These have to become traditions. And now we have a culture, and the culture that, that is a manifestation of who you are, up here. But if you're only doing it 7 days, out of the year, you can't say that this is what you do, that you practice these principles. Right. You only practice these principles once a year. You practice Ujamaa, cooperative economics, once a year. That ain't going to free us. That ain't going to liberate us. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Hey, let's get some more juice, man. I want to get the people, some. Gotta get this money. Gotta get this. And give it right back to the colonizers, man. So this the chairman. I'm gonna switch it up. This is Chairman Omari Yeshitela, who's also dropping some knowledge on Christmas.
So on today, we were supposed to talk about Christmas, and one of the reasons we were supposed to talk about Christmas is because a lot of Africans are going to bankrupt yourselves during this process now. I've read someplace where people on average will spend from $1,000 to $2,000 just on the holidays alone. And that so another place I read that people will spend a quarter of their income just on the Christmas holidays. People who got credit cards and stuff like that will be paying will not have paid this Christmas bills off next Christmas, right? This is the kind of stuff that people are going to be involved in. Now, I'm mentioning this for a number of reasons. One is because it's a false, hollow holiday that's been created for the purpose of, one, stealing your money. That's one of the reasons that the holiday is there. But another thing is that it helps to consolidate the identity of people in this country and in the white world. And to the extent that you are part of the Christmas things, it helps to consolidate your identity with the white world. Because it is a holiday that's among all the other kinds of holidays that white people experience and share and celebrate. It is one of those holidays that constitutes the national identity of white people. In the absence of having your own philosophy, your own identity, or even being able to know who the hell you are, then you end up celebrating your oppression. You end up celebrating your own bad treatment. That's a problem. That's why even though we see everything that happens to us, who in the hell has ever known the police department to serve and protect? In real life, how in the hell can an African stand up and say, I thought the police was here to serve and protect? When every experience we have with the police department is getting knots on our head and getting shot in our communities and things like that. But the reason we can say that is because we buy into the philosophy of white power, white nationalism, the whole white identity, including Christmas.
And the only reason why he's talking this
mic drop right there. What was that?
Nah, I was talking while the joint was on. I was like, well, I hope they didn't hear me.
You was thinking out loud? Hey, hey, I want to. This is Dr. Emerson Wilson. Now, I know you're going to speak to that clip, but I wanted to add this on to it. This is Dr. Emerson Wilson from the Blueprint for Black Power, and this is the chapter 4 on consciousness and power. And he says, to the degree that the values blacks use to determine their own behavior are originated and controlled by whites, is the degree black behavior falls under white control, is the degree whites retain and exercise social power over blacks, is the degree blacks are powerless relative to whites. This allows whites to socially control the behavior of blacks while blacks believe themselves in control. Black power requires that blacks originate their own values and that those values be exercised by them in their own interests. It says cultural values are means by which a cultural group achieves and retains self-control, control regulated and directed by its own values. Culture is a form of social control, and as such is a form of social power, a means by which a people gain power over themselves and their behavior in order to achieve certain desired ends. In this light, it is not difficult to infer that to achieve deep and practical social control or social power over blacks, dominant whites had to deculturate blacks, that is, strip them of their original African cultures, languages, consciousness, and values in order to instill in them a new subordinate culture and cultural values compatible with white economic and social interests. Money follows values. We pay for what we value. Africans must value things European, things manufactured and marketed by Europeans, thereby enriching and empowering Europeans while impoverishing and disempowering themselves. To the degree to which Africans value things African, things manufactured and marketed by Africans, they enrich and empower themselves. I'm gonna stop there, man. But yeah, I wanted to tie that into this discussion. What you think about that? Or what the chairman said? I know you was thinking out loud just now, man. You there, brother?
He gonna have something.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
No, I heard you. So Dr. Wilson is somebody, Dr. Amos Wilson, you know what I'm saying? Somebody I really, really want black folk to read. Please, 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 please read brother. A lot of the things that we had going on in our neighborhoods as far as quote unquote black on black or youth crime or whatever, violence and all that. He was talking about that in the 60s or the 70s in a very, very concise way. That was clear to understand how do you thwart all of this gang violence and black men hurting black men. So just to put that out there, please, if y'all want to understand a lot of the psychology of just young black men, but black people in general, please read that, brother. But the thing
and real quick, like why aren't we using the information and knowledge that he left behind? Like I don't see anybody else publishing something that's like focused on what is misnomer black on black crime, but intercommunal violence in the black community, right? Like what other authorities that we have on that? Like Dr. Emerson Wilson dedicated a couple of books to it, and perhaps some articles. But all this work really addresses the issue of intercommunal violence anyway, you know. But he dedicated, you know, black on black violence, the psychodynamics of what is it, white power, black violence in service of white domination, something like that, right? And then black male adolescent violence, right? He's dedicated, but no one's like using, these so-called experts aren't using these works to address the problems that we have in the community.
Because one of the things, you know, when we talk about gatekeepers, when we talk about, you know, people having like a ceiling on things, is like, I know you walked in rooms where people are talking about a thing, but they're not going to the root of it. They just keep talking because they don't want no action really to come out of it. They just want to keep talking about it. And what you notice is, why would you use the cure when you want to keep people in treatment? You know what I mean? And that's a real thing. Even the people that's supposed to be working for us to thwart these things, violence creates money for a lot of people. Fratricide, which that brother talks about. Fratricide. Brothers going against brothers. Brothers killing brothers. That makes a lot of people a lot of money in America, bro. So why would they go to the cure when you want this treatment state to remain? You know what I mean? So that's why they not reading Marcus Still and following those tenets. You know, that's why they not reading Amos Wilson. That's why they not reading John Henry Clark. That's why they not reading, Marimba Ani. Like, you could go on and on and on of why I didn't learn about these people till I went to prison, and I was an honor student, supposedly.
Yeah.
You feel me, bro? So it's like, go ahead.
This goes back to, you know, what I read in the text in regards to values, right? And we're learning to value information from, you know, the colonizer, value information that's given to us from people who are not talking about liberation. If we value the information and the names that you just brought up, you know, we will be seeking out. I'm not talking about the people that's tapped in, right? This has to be something that is prevalent throughout our communities. Like, everybody, if you talk to any youth on the streets and ask them about Dr. Emerson Wilson, Dr. John Henry Clark, you know, they will know who these people are, right? They're not even reading. They're not even reading. I know you're not a Du Bois, but they're not even reading W.B. Du Bois. You know what I'm saying? Like, my sons go to a school. But look, my sons go to a school named my sons go to a school named after Du Bois. But they're not reading Du Bois. And when I asked the teacher about it, you know, she ain't had no real answer to it.
But the school is named that, bro, and it's wild. And that's the thing, like, you have to read. I've read about Hitler. I remember I was reading about Hitler, and people was like, why are you reading about Hitler? He's a racist. I was like, because I need to know why these motherfuckers operate how they operate. And I know I need to know what's their plan. What are they doing? Like, because what a lot of people don't know, and I bring that up, is Germans studied American slavery to do the Holocaust.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then those German war criminals were protected by our American government. They were given safe haven to live in South America and different parts of America because they understood that these scientists, and they learned it from them, like literally sat in the school buildings with them. So it's like,
there's a guy named Madison Grant. I want to pull up one of his books for the people, but go ahead. I'm about to.
No, but I'm only saying that to again go into that whole point about like really digging into different things and understanding how it relates to us, and then that value thing that you talk about, because I don't want to miss that. When you talk about value, I was talking about that as far as like our relationships with each other. You could kind of tell how a person's dealing with you based on what they value in themselves. And in turn, that always comes out on other people. One of the reasons why my brothers hurt people out here, because they hurt and they don't care. If I don't care about me, I'll do anything to everybody. You know, and that's how deep that value thing is. What you value. So when you talk about our brother Amos Wilson, and he talks about that, that value thing is the thing that gets us to hurt each other, depending on how we look at ourselves. How much do you value yourself? That will determine how much you're willing to do to other people. And a lot of our value is taken away because we aspire to be somebody that's not us. We associate things to us that have no benefit for us. And that goes back to the Christmas thing. You know what I mean? The mom is not being valued. Saint Nick is being valued. Santa Claus is being valued. The mom, the dad in that play does not hold any value, not even to their children, until you learn better. Because and then like he said, like they sneaking around with the shit. My mom was doing all that shit, bro. Devaluing herself. She didn't know it though. We didn't know it. Why are you the one who's doing all of this fucking work at 18th and Master in North Philly? We don't even have a chimney. Why would we do that? Why would we devalue that woman like that? Why would she devalue herself and not know? You know, bro. So I really understand that where that value thing comes in when it comes to these things. You know what I mean? So that's a real thing, bro. Like that.
No, absolutely. I just wanted to bring this up too, because you mentioned Hitler, and let me make this big on the screen. This is my Kindle right here. You had made the point of you reading Hitler. This is I had both of these books in my Kindle. So to your point, yeah, like I'm reading the Enemy, and this is what Hitler was reading. This right here. Madison Grant, you know, his work, he gave praise to Madison Grant, but the passing of the great race, or the racial basis of European history and the conquest of the American continent, right? This is what Madison Grant was talking about. He was talking about, you know, you Negroes, man, like the passing of the great race. You Negroes is messing everything up, man. We got ourselves a Negro problem over here, you know. And so when we're talking about eugenics, this is we talking about the fathers, man, of eugenics, man. Madison Grant, he telling y'all, hey, we got a Negro problem. So, you know, it's something we need to do, or we might not be around anymore. We got going.
And we definitely need to understand these things because it's like, right now, a lot of this type of stuff that we had to read in these books and understand what they was trying to do, you getting it in the media, you getting it in social media, like them changing culture, shifting culture, giving people new ideas, new words, new ways to look at things. It's all in this media shit. Like I could see, like we was talking about the 90s, and we seen when the shift was, and we could actually see our people move with the shift. You know what I mean? When NWA came out and the music became super vulgar, it wasn't so violent and all that yet, but the vulgarity led into more explicit violence, more explicit sex. Now you got people learning things they weren't learning before, only because you let people curse more in the music. And you see it on TV. They 1 minute they not showing nothing. Next minute, every time you turn on the show, everybody naked.
What's that?
They cursing on TV now the whole night.
What is that about, man? FCC? What they on right now, man?
What they on is you want to dumb down your citizenry. You want everything to be physical, barbaric, pleasure. Everything is centered on pleasure and desire. They took all the modesty away on purpose. Because now we got folks that basically kind of move like cave people, like barbarians. When we really watch what people are doing, they don't want to have intellectual thought. They don't want to be modest no more. People don't want to be courteous. They don't, you know what I mean? It's like, I just want fuck. I just want to make some money. I want to get high. You know what I mean? Party. I guess all of that is partying. But when you try to
all in the music, man.
Exactly. When you try to take people out of that realm, you corny. You boring. You preaching. You're lecturing. I love to do all of that. I don't care what people say, so it is what it is. But this is what they're doing. That's the culture shift. I don't want to think. You know what I mean? I just want to have mindless entertainment at all times. We don't want to work out. We don't want to take care of our bodies. Like, it's a wild thing what they've been able to engineer now through media. You know what I mean? So it's like, this whole again, that goes back to that value thing. You see it on Instagram, what people value and how they value themselves by watching this stupid ass shit going across your screen. The story and the post. The post goes up and down. The story goes, I guess, left and right. But that's what people are doing. And their value systems are attached to these phones. Their belief system are attached to these phones and the media, because this is media. So it's like, bro, I just be, I love.
That's why what we do is important. That's why what we do is important.
That's what I was about to say.
You ain't gonna have this conversation on CNN. Like, you're not gonna have this conversation on Fox News, right?
And I'm glad you said that, because that's another way of why are people not learning new things? You know, they giving us this limited view of stuff and people not stepping outside of it. So he's like, damn, why are they following these things? Why are they not reading these books? Because that book his books are on the banned book list and nobody's asking why.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, they got a banned book list that they had in prison, and then somehow, some way, I heard about they had the same banned book list in some schools. You got white supremacists with the same banned book list for schools, and everything you read in there is about Asada, Malcolm X. All of these things is on a banned book list, so that's another reason why we're not reading these things. The other thing is attacking curriculums, and I know you one of those brothers. Like, what the curriculum look like? That's the shit that's keeping our children from reading outside of the curriculum. You know what I mean? The curriculum is doing it. You know what I mean? So
they're not even being inspired, you know, motivated to read certain information. I mean, they are still like inundating our children with Shakespeare, man. And you know, and I understand, you know, in regards to just like the certain styles that Shakespeare has. You know, just like that history and that writing style, because we're under white supremacy, even the necessity of learning Shakespeare. Because to be honest, like if we was in power, that shit we wouldn't need that.
It's not necessary.
Like, he ain't all that. He only all that in this language, you know, in this society. I'm gonna keep it real.
It's like,
in regards to
on the real, because one of my best examples of that is, I never heard about Imhotep, but you telling me about Einstein. I'm not saying Einstein didn't do shit. But Imhotep was on a different level. Why we ain't talking about him and Einstein? I'm not even saying don't talk about Einstein.
Or the Dogon, you know, people.
Yeah, but Einstein only becomes the guy because, like you said, we living in a white supremacist regime, and their people become the people. So Einstein becomes the guy. Imhotep is like it never existed. Until you put it in a stupid movie called The Mummy and disrespect his whole history. Whitewash him, make him an enemy the whole nine. It all ties back in.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, you already know, bro. It don't stop. You already know it don't stop, man.
Man, you got all right. Let's go. I'm gonna throw another joint on, man. We're gonna wind down, man. I gotta get to the store and get some eggnog, man. I'm trying.
Yeah, listen, man. You know. Enjoy your day. It's like, no, I'm just messing with you. Nah.
Hey, let's go to the show real quick.
And Christmas ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. Because if Jesus was tried to come to this country today, the police department would put a knot on his ass if walking around here barefoot talking about, he'd have a modern day lynching. Jesus wouldn't stand a chance, you'll hear. So it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. It's got to do with that fat white man, right? Who y'all teach, and then, you know, if it's not him, a Negroid fat person who comes with all the goodies and stuff like that, which is a terrible lie, and it's a terrible betrayal of our conditions, because to the extent, and we feed our children, well, you don't know no better, or teach them better. Teach your child better. To have your child believing that some fat white guy comes down a damn chimney to bring them something is insane. As hard as African people have to work to get every damn thing that we got, people selling drugs, doing everything just to try to keep up, and you're talking about a fat white man brought it to you? And it's an offense. It's an offense against the sensibilities. Your children can't even grow up with good heads on their bodies, and if they don't get it, what does it mean if your child doesn't get it? If your child doesn't get it, they say Santa Claus brings things to people who are what? Good. Everybody knows that. So if your child doesn't get something, then it has to identify with something being wrong. It's because it's not good. Why doesn't your child really not get what your child needs? Because he lives in a world that is hostile to black people. And that child needs to know that the world is hostile to black people. Did you see that song on television? You see all that good stuff that them white people got there? That's stuff that should be coming to you, but it's been stolen. That's what your child should be taught, that at least your child then can arm himself or herself to struggle for a better world. But if you're teaching your child some fat white guy supposed to bring it over, and then teach the child not to pick up a 9mm and take it, when you see the fat guy moving through the community, it's a crime against the community.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
That's why I thought you had the hoodie on earlier. I was like,
no, listen, man, I got this joint, bro. I'm always, it's a style. It's almost to the end, man. It might be cool by tomorrow. I wasn't feeling it, but I definitely had to come up here. But I said the hood plays the role by Humbug. On my show, I said F Christmas. On PSA, on the way out, I said F Christmas because
people texting me Merry Christmas Day. I'm like, man, they trolling me. I'm talking about like family, man. I'm like, yeah,
it feel like that.
At least my, the children, my children's mother, she knows me, man. She said happy holidays. She know how I get that. She knows. Shout out to you. But you got people who hit me up, Merry Christmas, I'm like, bro, y'all stop.
And they know, man. They know it ain't the thing. It's like, I'm glad that one right there. I didn't know you at first. I didn't know you was gonna put, some of Dr. Barrett Shango's stuff on there. That's the first joint you sent me. And I was like,
really tied though, like, because even Dr. Barrett Shango, he was talking about celebrating your enemy, celebrating with your enemy or your enemy's holidays, right? And Chairman Omali Yesitela talked about this national consciousness, the creation of this national consciousness through the holidays, right? So that's why we celebrating it, because we have to have the same consciousness, have the same values as our enemies. It makes it, because you even brought it up earlier. What was you saying? You was like, first thing you were saying in regards to just
we have this association by those things,
not being clear of not seeing a change when you were talking about that. Like, but go ahead.
No, and that's the thing. That psychological is like the transition that happens that the oppressed person is not supposed to be mindful of. When we switch you from being just purely oppressed to being a part of the oppressive regime, like making you into a quote unquote citizen. That's usually a psychological game that happens over generations. Because that first group of people gonna fight it tooth and nail. But once you get into their children and definitely their grandchildren, now we off and running. Now y'all got our culture and y'all running with it. And it leads to the thing that I was going to say, and he brought it up, and I'm glad because it reminded me when he said we either have a white Santa or a black Santa. Black people, stop trying to create black shit that's white shit. Stop doing it. Stop taking white people's shit and making black shit. And I'm gonna give you an extreme example, bro.
Hey.
So I'm not a porn ball, but I know who Mr. Marcus is, right? And Mr. Marcus, on some real shit. About 10, 15 years ago, Mr. Marcus was arguing about racial I can't, the word I'm using for, but discrimination amongst porn in the porn industry. And I'm saying to myself, some shit, we just need to let them have that shit. Like, why are you fighting for racial equality in porn, bro? Like, why are you doing that? And then my thing is like, people be like, it's a way people get money. Yeah, capitalism and exploitation at its highest level. A person willing to sell that part of themselves for cheap to make money on these BC list movies. Why would we fight for equality? Because we want black porn? I don't want black porn. I'm being honest.
Would you use that? I know you're talking about like porn. Would you use that same example though in any industry, or is there something in particular about that? Because like, for instance, like basketball, there's a big thing about Caitlin Clark. I don't know if you heard the name, but she's like,
yeah, I know who she is.
Yeah, she's like major, like she's one-time magazine athlete of the year. But the black athletes have an issue with the spotlight that she is getting, and saying that, you know, we've been here for years. We, you know, basically built this predominantly black league, and we done built this league, and we haven't gotten the attention. Would you say that is like a comparison to that? Should we be? Yeah.
That's the comparison, because it all fits on the same thing. So it's the whole thing of Larry Bird being this great ass player because he was a white guy that compete with black people. It was a bunch of black players, as great as Larry Bird was, and I love basketball. It was a bunch of black players that were either just as good as better. But Larry Bird holds this space because he was the white man that was good enough to play at a high level with the black guys. We see it with Eminem. It's the same thing. You're telling me that
I'm a Larry Bird fan, man.
Yeah, I'm a Larry Bird. Listen, bro, I'm a Larry Bird fan too, bro. Yeah. I'm a Dirk Nowitzki fan. I'm a this new young boy in Dallas. What's his name? Luka. But I know y'all get a lot of the props y'all get because y'all white boys able to play at this high level. Y'all not as good as they piping you up to be. Not saying you're not good. And it goes into the same thing. The white sin, it's the reverse of it, but it's the same thing. Overly acknowledging white people who do black things that black people do regularly. We do that, but then black people. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, though, you know, should black people? All right, I'll just tell you like my stance on it. Like, I feel like it's a serious contradiction, you know, for us to, you know, it has. I know that our level of consciousness, like overall, has us fighting to integrate into this society, because that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, well, build your own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we fighting to be recognized, to be treated as equal within a, you know, colonial capitalist society, when we should be like trying to separate ourselves from that and creating something where we're recognized. Because the reason why those people are recognizing Caitlin Clark, like, it is because she has her community behind her for the most part, even though she has black people who support her and watch her as well. But it's not the black community that's going to put her over the top. And it's the same thing with like hip hop. Like, hip hop people who was going platinum and all of that because white people started buying the records. You know, black people, we weren't helping. I mean, we were helping, but they weren't going platinum because of us spending money on those records. We were buying bootlegs for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Bootleg tape, bootleg CD. So, you know, my thing is like, you know, you're asking for white support. Basically, you're asking for white power to recognize you as equal to white people. That's what's going on.
And that's what I'm saying. And I agree with you with the bootleg, John, and all that. But even that, we have to step back from that. We were buying bootleg because we are oppressed people. We did this is my thing, bro. Because this goes into the whole thing of like, y'all leaving our people. In order for white people to start buying your records, black people lifted you up for them to even know who you were. So because we get to the point and we can't buy as many records of our oppressor, don't try to, and I'm not saying you doing this, but this is something we do to each other. And I don't like that shit. We couldn't do it how it was supposed to be done, but we did enough to get you recognized. We supported your ass locally, and white people got to see who you were, and now they spending money on you. And that's the other part of it too.
Your music and everything towards them, rather than the community that you came from, and all for the name of capitalism.
Exactly. And then that's my thing. That's why I said it's the same side of the coin when black people lift up these folks because they're unique in the space, because they don't do it how we do it. But also, like I said, it's an extreme example. Why are you fighting for that? Why is that the fight? And that's another thing. That's what I'm saying. Us doing their shit. You're doing their shit, promoting the idea of their shit being better, and you selling your people out in the process. But you think you bringing in blackness into a thing.
You're not guilty. Stevie Wonder can see these motherfuckers are guilty.
I'm sorry, I just had to do
it. No, you good. And that's where I 100% agree with you, bro. Like, they have the ability to make things bigger. So of course, like I said, black people love Dirk, but Dallas made Dirk this white player that was better than all of these other players when he was good, but he wasn't better. The same thing with Larry Bird. Boston promoted Larry Bird. Black people gave him the clout, but white people, once black people co-signed his ass, white people ran with it. The same thing with Dirk. Once he went through the trenches and black people co-signed him, other black ball players say he was cold. Now white folks are supporting him. You feel what I'm saying? Caitlin Clark, she had to go through the black women to get where she at. For real. And then white folks just did what they do and over promoted her. Because they want her to be, we're going to push the coach. Same thing with Eminem.
And
Sway
they have
and Tech
that
co-signed Eminem.
infrastructure.
If you remember, Sway and Tech co-signed Eminem. Black folk, black music. Dre and all them dudes said he was next up. And white folks ran with it from like wildflower. So the reason why I'm saying the two sides of the same coin is because
wildflower, but go ahead.
My bad.
Not like with the wildflower. Just said I want to bring it back to M real quick. Actually, go ahead, finish your thought. I ain't even going.
But my thought was just it's us who give people the cosign, and then white folks over promote these white folks. You know what I mean? It's always us though that give them the cosign though, bro. And that's the whole making white shit black and all that. Like, nah, their identity is not better than ours. It goes down to that. But they make you believe it because of what we've been through in this country. But my bad, bro. Go ahead.
Nah, I mean, you should. I don't even know where to begin because you dropped a lot on me. You started off with the color thing, but I will admit I'm just going to stick to because you said wildflower, but you mentioned Eminem before that. And I was thinking Ghostface. Ghostface got a song called Wildflower. I just be thinking like the universe be working. They be giving me all of these signs, man. So, don't mind me, all y'all. But Ghostface Killer dropped the album Supreme Clientele around the same time Eminem dropped his album. I think like months apart. I was just, I look into stuff like this, right? And, Ghostface, who's a member of Wu-Tang Clan, who, somebody like a lot of people thought, Ghostface was one of the top MCs during that time. Supreme Clientele is a dope album. Some people will say it's a classic.
It's a classic.
Yeah, I'm an Iron Man. I feel like that's his best album. But Ghostface feel like Supreme Clientele, and a lot of people do too. But it's a great album. But the reason I'm bringing this up is Eminem though comes out either a few months before or a few months after, but he sells millions of records, and I think he got album of the year or whatever. But Ghostface Supreme Clientele didn't do as well though, And if you listen to both of those albums, that album I think was Eminem's first album, Supreme Clientele. Which album is like really better? Like I don't know. I could be on my black, but that's Supreme Clientele. Man. That Supreme Clientele album, it gets that Eminem album to me, man. And you can't tell me like Eminem is more lyrical. That album is more lyrical than Supreme Clientele. Listen to Ghostface Supreme Clientele, man. He's killing it on this.
I would just tell, and Iron Man is the first joint. Is hard to go against that. I'm a Wu fan.
I feel like that's that.
I'm definitely a Ghost fan. Yeah. But I felt like Supreme Clientele. The reason why I ain't gonna say it's his best album, but I will say it's a classic because like he really went by himself on it. Like they on there.
Yeah.
Iron Man is more still that's like a Wu album. Yeah. Most of the first Wu albums, everybody's first solo album is kind of still like a Wu album. You know what I mean? We might be able to pick and choose some that's not, but Supreme Clientele was just him on business, right? And lyrically, if we talking just lyrics, like you said, come on, man. Like Eminem's first album is not dealing with none of the lyrics on Supreme Clientele, bro. Song for song. If you're a real hip hop person, which most of the people who like Eminem are not real hip hop people. That's the other part. Most of his fan base don't listen to other hip hop. Look it up. Researchers, they not listening to Ghostface.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They like Eminem because he a white boy that can rap. And they finally got a white boy that can rap, so they support him. That's it.
Yeah.
They not listening to no real hip hop, bro. Because anybody that'll tell me that M and Nas is really in the same place or close to it, you out your fucking mind, bro. And you don't know hip hop. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Nas and Eminem are not on the same nothing.
Yeah,
it's not. Even if Nas, even because we do this a lot and I don't like it. Even if Nas is giving him his props, us as fans, because we know Nas has to do that in public. Us as fans need to remind everybody, like, nah, Nas is doing that out of courtesy, out of industry BS. We all know there's no Eminem album that can fuck with none of Nas shit, bro. Nothing is close to Illmatic.
Nothing.
The man rapped and rewind, bro. I always tell people the same thing. The man rapped and rewind, bro, and it was hot.
Hey, we need to do. See, you be throwing stuff out there, and you be giving me these ideas. So we're gonna come back and we're gonna have a podcast on Nas, man. But I think we do Nas though. I don't know, because I'm a big Nas Tupac fan. Those my goats right there, Nas and Tupac, man. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We might have to do both, but like I feel like just a discussion on that, discussion around the lyrics, the songs, because. I mean, his body of work, you can pick songs here and there. He got that John, These Are Our Heroes. Like he really could come with like some socially conscious hip hop like throughout the years.
I know I can, bro.
Yeah,
it's a hot song for the babies. Who's making hot songs for the babies, bro?
But it's the, those songs, because he's going through these experiences. And it's like, what's going on in our environment? Like he's addressing like the politics, the racism, and it's not even to say like not, I wouldn't call Nas like a revolutionary, right? But his as far as like in the category of a Tupac, even though like Tupac had his contradictions, but Tupac was on some revolutionary. He was trying to do some revolutionary shit, organize people and like go at the government.
Thug life, man. Thug life in and of itself. The whole plan of thug life.
Absolutely. But but Nas has those songs. He's talking about the feds, right? Where he's talking about Fox News. These are our heroes when he's talking about Uncle Tom, Sambos, you know what I'm saying? People who are selling out the race. So we definitely should come back and have that conversation. This conversation right here, I know we've been building on Christmas. We've been going in for over an hour and a half. I don't even want to belabor the conversation. I gotta get my eggnog and my whiskey. What people put in eggnog? I know people be spicing eggnog.
I think it's like gin or rum. I think it's rum. I think you put rum in eggnog.
My Christmas folks, put it in the chat. What we do? Hey, this last clip too.
I do, because we sliding out, man. But I do want to ask everybody, like, go read. And you're going to think it's off a little bit, but go read $40 Million Slave by William Roden, and he talks about the celebration culture that was developed by the slaves. Like sports came out of that, but it's the same thing with this holiday thing. It's the same thing with the weekend. And I would just ask people, like, go read. It's not a holiday book, but he gives you this thing of how, like, the holiday thing was promoted as well without even talking about it. Because he has a whole chapter at the beginning on how American sports, as we know it, came out of the plantation or came from the plantation, and them using us for entertainment and all that good stuff. So go read $40 Million Slave, even though y'all might think it's off.
Hey, to that point, no. Watch me tie it though. To that point, one of the things that the slave master would do during Christmas time for entertainment was have the slaves wrestle with each other for their entertainment. This was during Christmas time. And this article, because you put the book out there, this article I'm going to put it in our book drive. And the link to the article you'll have access to it. I'm going to put it in the chat before we close out. So I'm going to be working on that behind the scenes. The Time, Old All Times, Master Slaves and Christmas in the Old South by Shauna Bingham and Robert E. May. So I'm going to put the link to this article in the chat for those who want to, read up on that information. I was going, I wanted my brother to I don't know if he bounced out, but I wanted him to let you know where to find him. But Philly service announcement, that's Jeru, the Sis. Philly Service Announcement is a podcast that he does on Tuesdays on Glockaware. Oh, here you go right here. Let me see. Peace, bro. You can let people know
real quick.
You can let people know like where to check you out at, like where to find you and check you out.
Oh, definitely.
Sure.
On Instagram, check at PSA_community. On YouTube, go to Philly Service Announcement Live. That's a channel. And on YouTube, go to Glockaware Radio and you can check out the podcast, Philly Service Announcement Podcast. I'm on there every Tuesday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. But you can always go to YouTube and watch 4 years of content. I've been doing it for 4 years, so check it out. If y'all like what y'all see with me and my brother getting into, I do a lot of the same stuff on the show. You know what I mean? So appreciate you though, brother. And we Charge Colonialism. I've been putting people on it, man. So y'all got to make sure y'all know to keep checking this out. We want to get, when you said earlier, a lot of the people that's on are like they alikes. We preaching to the choir, and it's like I'm trying to push the envelope to get some folks in here that don't really get this information or don't understand it or even want to challenge it. I don't want to argue on wax, but I do want people to be at a challenge so we can unlock some things that people don't know through those challenges and debates. So PSA, man, Philly Service Announcement. Check me out.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. And I gotta come back on there, man. Have a discussion. Yeah. I've been up on there twice, man. It's definitely like the conversations. I know a lot of it is local, and everybody's not from Philly, but it's still like the information and the things, because you have the things that you guys discuss on there. I think is applicable to the experiences of African people wherever we are. And you highlight the work that people are doing. That's what I love. Like every time I tap in, it's somebody from our community that's putting in that work, that service, and that's in service for our community.
Yes.
Right. And so these are the people, again, going back to controlling, like, well, we didn't talk about controlling the narrative, but it's important for us to control the narrative and to be able to talk about these stories, because if you turn on the local news, they're not highlighting these people that you're talking about. All they're going to talk about is the crime and the shootings that took place, right? Not that there's actual like people out there that's putting in that work and services. So if you're in trouble, you're dealing with some sort of issue, you need some resources, you need some therapy, and you need any of these things to deal with all of the social ills that we are experiencing as a result of colonial capitalism. These on your show, you bring that, man. And the news don't bring that. So that's why I really appreciate that. So definitely tap in, because we got to get, just like the numbers up here, we got to get the numbers up, over there. And those back shows, definitely we can post up on here so people, that's tapped into this, see what's going on and know where to find you and can check you out live for sure. So I want to do that.
And this past show, I ain't going to go into it. I think it's another show for me and you, but I seen this post that the mayor, Sherelle Parker, put up, and it was very disturbing. It was very disturbing for me that she didn't say black woman. That was very disturbing, that she's clearly a black woman. I know she's a black woman, but I think it's important that she says first black woman mayor. She purposely didn't put that in the Instagram post that was posted. And then the other thing was she was relating to saying that the forefathers were our forefathers. Like our forefathers. This is the birthplace of America and all that. And I'm like,
Oh, man. See what we dealing with?
That. But I ain't gonna go ham on it because I know we already 2 hours in damn near. But next time we talk, bro,
so then we gotta do one on that.
Yeah, we got to, and I need you to see the post first. That's another thing. I want you to see the post, and then we can go in like that because it was vicious, bro, and it was very dangerous because words are important, in imagery because this is a dark-skinned black woman that's the first woman mayor. So all that has significance in America, bro. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, bro. Like when you get an opportunity,
we started off talking about this history, Black history of Philadelphia. So you bring it kind of full circle. So we definitely gonna have, maybe the next one because we talked about a few things. But when we get together, talk about what that next one is. But I like that history, Black history of Philadelphia. So that might be the next thing we come back with for sure.
Nah, no doubt. I'll weave it in there about her though, because that John kind of woke me up yesterday morning. Like, why didn't she say black woman? What was the importance of not saying black woman mayor, the first black woman mayor? Why did she just say the first woman mayor? I didn't.
Black folks in America, a lot of black folks in America, they want to be colorblind. They believe white people when white people say, this is a colorblind society. They believe that. We got to get off of that.
It's not real, y'all.
Hey, so that's the propaganda, and that goes back as we giving out these books. Hey, another one we mentioned, Eddie Bernays. Read the book Propaganda. I think that's a necessary read. Because in these books, I mean, they openly talk about, because I mean, the arrogance of the European is that like they're having these conversations with each other. They don't see anything wrong. As a matter of fact, you talking about 1920 black people ain't gonna read this anyway, So and we kind of had that problem today. Black people aren't gonna read this, but go back. So they having these conversations, and in that book. He's talking about the manipulation of the masses, right? And how to do it, and the necessity of doing it, because there's always been this. I know we jump. Hey, the information, boy, can't help it, man. Once you get started, you can't stop. But America has this history of concern about the masses having too much power. Like democracy, they are scared of democracy. Thomas Jefferson and all them dudes, when they talk about it, it's like, democracy. We're talking about like direct democracy. That was something that they thought was an issue, a problem. They didn't believe in democracy, right? They thought it was like anarchy if you had a democracy. So, that's why this is a republic, and that's why the Constitution was created the way that it was created. But again, like, I don't want to go on this. Hey, we supposed to be closing out. We about to have a whole U.S. history.
Back full circle again. Because she talks about the founding father shit. Like, the Constitution was written in Philadelphia. We were not people. So how are you telling people these are our founding fathers in this rich history of Philadelphia? I'm stop. We're going to get into it.
We're going
to talk about that real black history in Philly, bro. That real African history, because there's a lot of it. It's a lot of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's doing it a disservice.
No doubt, man. So I'm going to close it out with Dr. Isa Musa Barashingle video. As that's playing, I'll put the link to the article I was mentioning in the chat for you guys to access, so that you can have that for your record. And the next time you see us up on here will probably be sometime next week, man. We're gonna be doing, there's a lot of Kwanzaa going on this week, man. So I'm gonna be in the mix. But appreciate you all for tapping in, tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and like and share so other people can be a part of this conversation. So until next time, peace for sure.
You lied to your child for 10, 12 years. You may think that's a light thing, but it isn't. You have your child believing in something, and I mean we believe in it. I was hurt. I cried for 2 days when they told me there wasn't no Santa Claus. I cried, man. And I'm trying to figure out how can my mama, who's a beautiful woman, who loved me and worked hard, working in white folks' house, washing their clothes and ironing their clothes and rubbing their clothes and down, take care of me. How can she lie to me like that? And it establishes, if the child is not conscious, it establishes subconsciously a distrust. Time is running out. It establishes a distrust in anything else you say. So now by the time they get to adolescence, you wonder why they don't trust what you say to them. You don't lie to them like that. For what? To give white folks the credit. You look at it and realize you have been living in a fool's paradise, so to get over that, you break out the bottle and have Christmas cheer. And then once you get that alcohol in you, and start thinking about you done spend money you don't have, thinking about how you gonna get your rent paid next month or your mortgage paid, or feed your babies in January, then you resort to the ritual of busting each other upside the head. I don't know about you, but when I was coming up, I couldn't figure out why on such a beautiful day, when I had all these toys and it was so lovely and Santa Claus and Jesus and everybody had come, and everybody was so happy, that a fight always broke out before the day was over. Now I know.
The white power structure, because that's all we have in America. And the white power structure today is just as much interested in perpetuating slavery as the white power structure was 100 years ago. Only now they use modern methods of doing so. And realizing that the black people in this country are waking up and becoming filled with a desire to be looked upon as men and as human beings. The white power structure, to slow down that struggle for freedom and human dignity, uses tricks. 100 years ago they could do it with chains. Today they use tricks. And one of the tricks that they've invented is this token integration. To get Negroes, so-called Negro leaders, to accept a few token crumbs of integration that don't solve any problem for the masses of black people in this country whatsoever, but it does make the hand-picked Negroes be satisfied to slow down the cry of the masses. And a good example of that is as soon as the spirit of rebellion or revolution began to spread among the masses of black people in this country, and they began to take an active part, and they showed that they weren't confined to this nonviolent approach, then the government or the power structure began to sit up and take notice and